Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to take a look at Team Rocket's Honchkrow with the Team Rocket's Porygon-Z package. Obviously, as we already know, I have covered Team Rocket's Porygon, which didn't go too great, because obviously we did run into Iron Hands. But obviously now we have a new kid on the block, which, let's put it this way, I've seen this guy all over the ladder, and, well, I would say it's a problem, but it's actually quite fun to face this deck. And today we're going to take a look at the brand new Team Rocket's Honchkrow with obviously the Porygon. So as per usual, in the description below there's going to be usual links with the deck list, which is also available in the description below. There's the games that we'll play, and of course the outro and what I think of the deck. So today we're going to take a look at Team Rocket's Honchkrow with the Rocket Feathers attack for 60 times. You may discard any number of supporters that have Team Rocket in their name from your hand. And this attack does 60 damage for each card you discarded in this way. Now, I know what you're thinking. Team Rocket supporters in your hand. That's quite a lot to be throwing away. Well, actually, it's not a bad thing, because you can be throwing away the ones that aren't relevant in the late game, such as Protons, Petrels, etc. And obviously, if you do need to throw away ones like Archer, Ariana, Giovanni, the ones that are more important, we do play an Ace spec which, can help us out in that regard, but we'll get to that in a moment. And I've even had to do a hammer in testing just so I have an option to attack. And it actually did win me a game in testing is using hammer in. I had a Team Rocket's energy on the Honchkrow already, but I didn't have enough supporters to do it. So the opponent put down a Mew, and I just thought, well, I've got Ignition in hand. I can go for game with Mew on Giovanni, or using Giovanni and just copy hammer in, or just use hammer in, and it won me the game, so I can't really complain. Obviously, we're highly likely going to be using hammer in this video. We're going to primarily be focused on the Rocket Feathers. Obviously, in terms of our backup attacker, I have covered this recently. We obviously do have the Team Rocket's Porygon-Z, which is a Stage 2 colourless Pokemon with 140 HP and the ability Reconstitute. You must discard 2 cards from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw a card. Now, that seems pretty terrible, but remember that the R-Command attack requires supporter cards in its name in the discard pile, well, with Team Rocket in its name, I should say, in the discard pile, and it does 20 for each. That's not 20 that's not 20 plus, it's just 20 times flat out. It would be even more broken if it was 20 plus, let's put it that way. But obviously, we do play a lot of supporters in this list, as you'll see in the deck list, and well, this little Porygon can definitely hit some insane numbers once we get there. Obviously, we're not able to play things like Psyduck or, Shaman, but we do at least have the Articuno in this list, which prevents all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to your basic Team Rocket's Pokemon. So what that means is if your opponent manages to go turn 2 Dragapult, they cannot touch our Porygons with a Articuno in play. Because obviously the damage counters attack is an effective attack, so it stops the Porygon from being harmed, which is pretty useful. Obviously, if we have Honchkrows on the bench, that's different, because obviously this is a Stage 1 Pokemon. Same with the Porygon-Z or the Porygon-2. But anyway, let's go to the deck list, and let's have a proper look. And welcome to the deck list. This is a deck that I've been really enjoying playing, and I'll be honest, my list isn't too different from other people's lists, because I'll be brutally honest, there's not a lot to change about this list. But as you'll see with the support accounts, we're playing 20 supporters, which is insane, but it makes sense with the context of the deck. So obviously, we are playing 4 Team Rocket's Murkrow, 4 Team Rocket's Honchkrow, 3 Porygon, 2 Porygon-2s, that's going to be a bit of a tongue twister, I know, and 2 Porygon-Zs. And then obviously we do have the Team Rocket's Articuno. You'll notice no copies of Rare Candy. We don't need them in this list, because obviously we can attack with a Porygon-2 because of the Quad Ignition. And obviously we can use the Z with the Team Rocket's Energy or the Ignition. I wouldn't advise Rare Candy in this list. You don't need it. The Honchkrow is going to be doing the heavy lifting, so, don't bother. In terms of supporters, we're playing 4 Archers, 4 Arianas, 4 Giovannis, 4 Protons, and 4 Petrels, making 20 supporters in total. Never played a deck with that many supporters, but you know what? It works, so why not? That does mean if we get all the supporters in the discard pile, this little Porygon is hitting 400 damage. The chances of us actually hitting all 20 in the discard pile is very unlikely, but, there is a world in which it could happen. Then, of course, for item cards, we're playing 4 Transceivers, 4 Poké Pads, which is broken in this deck because you can grab Honchkrows, you can grab Porygons, you can grab Articuno, you can grab pretty much anything in the list, which is busted. Then, of course, we have 2 Night Stretchers for a little bit of recovery, 1 Ultra Ball just to help us get a couple of extra supporters in the discard pile or just thin out dead cards, 1 Pokégear. Obviously, Transceiver doesn't always, come up. Having the extra option to find a supporter like Proton for turn is pretty nice to have. Then, of course, the A-Spec, which has become a bit of a running gag on this channel that I've not been able to play this on a video yet. We have Miracle Headset, which lets us put up to 2 supporter cards from your discard pile into your hand. Now, that doesn't seem great, but obviously if we do need to just swing 120 for game, we can. But it also means we can recover Gust, we can recover Draw, we can recover Hand Disruption, we can recover Basic Search if absolutely necessary. And obviously we can recover Petrel, which can obviously find us Factory and things like that. So it does obviously have its use, but I've seen a bit of a debate on what A-Spec you should be playing. I've seen the Survival Brace, which I think is bait. I've seen Legacy Energy pop up in like one list, and I thought that's just weird, but sure. I've seen Hyper Aroma, which I don't think is a bad idea, but at the same time, you don't really struggle to find your Honchkrows. Other than that, I don't really see any other argument for an A-Spec. Like you could play Prime Catcher as well, that is another option. But I just like having the option to just bring back supporters I might need, and that's why we're playing a Miracle Headset. Then, of course, 3 Team Rockets Factory, 4 Ignition Energy, and 4 Team Rockets Energy. I'm really hoping that the upgrade with Honchkrow makes the Porygon idea that I did a bit more stronger, and obviously because we're not relying on the Porygon, we're relying on a Stage 1 attacker. It's going to be a lot easier for us to get going in terms of attacking. And while with 20 supporters in the list, we can do... Well, what's 20 times 60? It's like 1200 damage. I severely doubt we're drawing into 20 supporters in one turn, but you never know. The option could be there. 1200 damage would be funny. But anyway, let's get into a match, and let's see how we do. And welcome to our first game. We're actually paired up someone in Eternatus rank. I've not really been climbing the ladder because obviously, as I say, I've been poorly recently. So not really had the chance to, play the ladder. I've been on my PS5 a lot, just, relaxing, playing games and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I've got a big backlog to still get through, which, that's just something I have to deal with as a gamer who plays a lot of different things. Obviously I have my main channel where I play one dedicated game. I have obviously, this channel where I play Pokemon TCG Live. And obviously I did have my PS5 gaming channel, but I kind of left that one behind because no one was really watching the videos. So yeah, I don't really play much on my PS5 anymore. And well, my opponent has finally decided to join us, but we start off with a mulligan, which... it's alright, but something tells me my opponent is just not with us, so... Yeah, they're not here, are they? You like you on the ladder if you're going to be like this. And, well, the match didn't even start because, well, my opponent was just not there with us. Let's go to a game 2. And welcome back to technically game 2. I'm glad that my opponent was not there because that was a Dusknoir deck. And, well, I don't wish to deal with Dusknoir, let's put it that way. Would have been pretty ugly, to say the least. That's the only thing about, obviously, playing Arianas and obviously relying on, the Ariana draw. Is if you do play, Shaman, Psyduck, etc., you just cut off your draw. I mean, first, yes. You could play, Quad Ariana still, but then play for Quad Lilies, but then you're playing 24 supporters, and that just feels like, it doesn't feel great. Okay, not the best start, I will say, and we're facing Dragonite, so we need 7 to knock that out. Could be pretty tough, but we could definitely get there. We do have options, and they do play Fez, so, I'm not particularly worried, but as long as we can get a basic start, which that doesn't help. Wait, hold on. Dragonite Festival lead? Since when's this a thing? You know what, I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to go for a Poké Pad. I've prized 1 Murkrow. I've not prized any Honch, which is good. I've prized one Porygon-Z, which could be relevant. I've prized one Giovanni, one Ariana, one Petrel, and one Proton. Okay, that's fine. What about energy? We prized a Team Rocket's energy. That's fine. I can live with that. I'm not going to commit the turn attachment now. But why are you... I don't get this. Like, you know, I get it because, like, you know, it does technically help you. But, like, for a start, you should play in the 70 HP one, not the 80 HP. But, like, what is this solving? Like, I don't understand. I don't know if it's just me being a bit thick, but, like, what does this solve outside getting you Thwackies out of, like, Retreat Lock? That's literally the only thing I can think of. And you even play the Lightning Energy. I might have to Giovanni this, because I don't know what he's planning, but still. And to be fair, I'd rather, you know, I'd rather just set up my board, I'll be brutally honest. I'm going to commit the turn attachment now, but I am going to Ariana, I think. But then again, if I Giovanni, I can't, I have to get rid of Ariana. So I think I'm just going to play the Ariana and draw 4. I don't need to rush this. I'm just going to pass there. I'll get a second Murkrow down. I'm not in a rush, you know. If they do commit to this whole attacking with, you know, Dragonite thing, I mean, to be fair, it does also help because, like, you do search out your evolutions, but, like, this just feels really weird. Okay, you get a Thwacky, that's fine. Okay. Poké Pad, probably to grab the Sea King. Or another Thwacky, I guess. Then again, you can Boom Boom Groove twice, get Sea King, get, you know, energy if you don't have it, and go from there, I guess. But this just feels weird. Why are you playing a Dragonite line? Outside of, you know, like, you know, switching up and everything like that. They can just go immediately for Sea King and then, you know, Festival Grounds. But then I just knock it out and you have no backup attacker, so what are you planning here, mate? Sea King has, I think, 120 HP or 110? I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a while since I've played. Okay, they're going to Lilies for turn. Makes sense, because they do need to get a backup attacker established. Yeah, 110. I thought it was 110 or 120. I couldn't remember. There's Festival Grounds, and there's a Body Poffin, so they can get additional attackers set up. They are going to take an early prize here, but I'm not particularly worried about that, because, you know, I could just give them Honchkrow. They hit Honchkrow with the Boom Boom Groove, or with the Festival lead attack, and a Rapid Draw. And they don't really do a lot after that, so I don't really care if they do that. And even then, I can potentially Arch for turn, but I don't think I want to Archer here. I just want to go Rocket Feathers, discard Petrel and Archer. In fact, no, I want to keep Arch for later, so I'll probably go Petrel Giovanni. There's another Dratini. They are setting up for a Dragonite, it seems, which is interesting. I'm just going to give them the Honchkrow. They've already played the support, and obviously you can't play a supporter when you've used Festival Lead. And even then, they still have an attack twice, assuming they don't have a Vit Band or anything. But they do get to draw a lot of cards, which is pretty good for them. Okay, well there's a Poké Pad, so we're going to Night Stretcher back that Porygon, because we're going to need him later. I'll then Poké Pad, grab myself a Porygon 2, so I have a backup attacker. Well, an extra backup attacker, I should be saying. So I'll do that. I obviously don't want to commit Ignition now. And yeah, I'm just going to Rocket Feathers. I'll go Petrel Giovanni, take out the Sea King. Well, let's hope they're not seeking for a Dragonite setup this next turn. Well, then again, if they do, I'll just deal with it later. It's not a big deal. I mean, sure, Dragonite does give you a big, heavy-hitting attacker, but what does it really solve? You know, like, it doesn't really solve anything. They're going to grab the Dragonite now. You really don't want to put that into play in this shot, mate. Well, they've got the Sea King, which is to be expected. They're pointing down the Dragonite, which, to be fair, I can't deal with it immediately, but, you know, that just feels kind of rough that they're actually doing that. As long as we can keep up in the single prize race, I'm not particularly fussed. But, you know, it's just something that we have to consider. We can obviously Archer for turn as well after attaching Team Rocket's energy. We can even... How many supporters do we have in the discard? 3. I was going to say we could have gone Porygon-2, but we can't. We've only got 3. But no, I don't get this concept. Like, at least with the, you know, the Gengar line, you can obviously, you know, play these... Because I think there's a 60 HP and also a 70 HP Ghastly. You can play those... and go from there. Like, you don't need, necessarily, to play a Dragonite line. Dragonite is a 3-prizer. And, you know, Gengar is a single prizer, and it gives retreat to anything. So, you know, they're putting a power class down onto that Dragonite, so they've really got that as their backup attacker, which is interesting. Can they attack this turn with Seeking, though? Maybe they've prized their Vitality Band. Because that feels rough for them. Yes, they're getting their extra draws and stuff, but, you know, Team Rocket's Honchkrow doesn't really care. Crispin? Okay. Are you really committed to this attack now? Oh, I don't think I agree with that. If you're attacking with Dragonite, that just feels really rough. Oh, I don't know if I agree with that. They're going to Boom Boom Groove again. Obviously, they Crispin to that Dragonite, so they still have their turn attachment. But why are you setting up the Dragonite? That's a horrible card in this matchup. Yeah, it takes me a lot of resources to kill it, but that's not the point. That just feels so rough. You know, like... Obviously, in this matchup, you don't want to be putting down multi-prizes, which they are most definitely putting down multi-prizes. There's the air balloon. They're going to go into the Dragonite. Oh, I don't agree with this at all, Chief. Yeah, they're going to turn attach and Glide. That just feels rough. I mean, like I say, you do you, my friend, but I wouldn't advise it. To be fair, I'd probably want to burn an Ignition Energy because, you know, it thins an extra card out the deck, technically speaking, because if they don't knock out the Honchkrow, you know. But even then, I could just ignore this Dragonite. I don't have to go into it. I can, then again, no, I'd need to top deck a supporter to do that, and that's... I mean, there's a high chance, but still. I really do think they're making a big mistake, because if I get an Ariana to enough supporters, yeah. You're going to regret that decision. Well, English. Down goes our Honchkrow. Let's promote the other Honchkrow. I think they're just relying on Dragonite's Bolt to get them a few prizes, which, I mean, you know, it's not a bad idea, but just feels kind of rough. I could always just hit this for 180 now, but I think it's safer to just Giovanni, well, to Archer. So we get 5, they get 3. Ooh, we do get to bump the stadium, though, so that's fine. So it's Team Rocket's Factory of 2. There's a Proton and a Petrel, that's fine. I think... Do I just hit them here for 60? Because then again, no, that feels kind of rough. What do I hit them here with? Because, like, Articuno is not going to be relevant in this matchup. This was kind of rough. I think I just Rocket Feathers for 60. I think I just got rid of Proton. Because then at least I'm still, you know, needing a lot of supporters to do it, but at least then I can play Petrel for turn, get myself something that can obviously, you know, help, and things like that, but so far this isn't looking very good for us. I mean, we can come back from this, because obviously they do have their big 3-prize Pokemon, but they could play Turo, and if they play Turo, that could feel pretty rough. They're going to Sky Transport into the Seeking. Okay. So they want to keep this guy around as an attacker, I'm guessing. There's Boom Boom Groove. They're obviously going to bounce our stadium, which is going to be a problem. And obviously us not finding Murkrow is also going to be a problem. Yeah, I'm not confident right now in how this matchup is going, because obviously they do have the option to go Seeking and obviously into Dragonite. But yeah, why not just play the, you know, like, why not just play the Gengar that I said? I think it's from Obsidian Flames, I can't remember. but it's got the ability Night Gate. I don't know, that just feels a lot more consistent than playing a 3-prizer, which, you know, fair enough, your attackers don't really care what energy, well, your Seeking doesn't care what energy it gets. Another Crispin? Are we attacking with Uno Glide again? Because if you are, that feels kind of rough. How many supporters have I got to discard? I've got 5 supporters, so I'm doing 100 damage with the geezer right now. We're really limited, and that's what's holding us back right now. I could have probably benched Articuno as a bit of a meat shield, but still, this isn't looking very good for us. And I'm not confident right now, let's put it that way. Only because we're whiffing, we're not seeing a single Transceiver, like, this is crazy. We're not seeing a single Transceiver, not the Pokégear. We've seen 1 Ariana out of 4. Which, yeah, we prized 1, but we're not seeing anything. There's another Power Glass. This is wild, this Dragonite list. Well, Festival Lead list, I should say. Are they going to go back into the Dragonite? That's my question. They're also slow playing, because like, if you look at the time difference, they are taking the mic, but I think they are speeding up their play, which is good. But yeah, I am not confident about this situation. Evolutionary Guidance. They're probably going to grab another Dragonite. No, the Rillaboom. Okay, so we need to consider Ignition Energy for this next turn then, potentially. But there goes Honchkrow, so we've only got Porygons left now, which is kind of bad. The fact that we've actually been whiffing so much is what's holding us back right now. I'm going to have to promote this Porygon and hope we get something. So let's promote the Porygon. Because also we don't have a Honchkrow, so we can't take a big fat knockout on this Dragonite just yet. There's Poké Pad, that does actually help. Because Poké Pad gets me a Porygon-Z. I'll evolve to the Porygon-Z. Reconstitute. Get rid of these 2. Do we get a Proton? That's pretty good. I'm going to Petrel. Grab Factory. Because then I can bump their stadium and obviously get additional draw. Teamwork's Factory for 2. Okay, that's pretty good. So how many supporters have I got? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm doing 120. Is that relevant? Not particularly, because I am whiffing, which is kind of bad. I think I use Ignition here just so I have the option there, and I'll just go for the Arcommand attack. We are really whiffing, which is holding us back severely. I mean, if push comes to shove, I probably should have used Team Rocket's energy there, but still. The fact that we're not been able to set up much in terms of, you know, consistent attackers is what's holding us back right now. We could have potentially obviously used Reconstitute to get rid of Proton and stuff like that, but, you know, I had to play Thingy for turn anyway, and I wanted to get the extra draw. There's Sky Transport. They're going to reset, I think, and go into the Seeking so they can Festival Lead again and get their Boom Boom Grooves. But no, this is rough. Like, assuming we get there, like, we can actually, like, you know, take a big fat knockout on this Dragonite. It just feels kind of rough, I'm not gonna lie. I think from this point, I just don't win because of the fact that we've been whiffing on knocking out these 3 prizes, which is really bad for us. And, well, pace of play is also something that they've been slowly improving on, but, you know. But no, this matchup is apparently kind of rough, but still. But hey, you know, we're not always going to win every game, so I'm not bothered about it, but still. There's Night Stretcher. Grabbing back a Lightning Energy, so they are going to come in with a Dragonite again. Which again is kind of rough. So I've got to hope that this Porygon, or this next few draws really does benefit us, because this is not looking good. Are you kidding me? Jumbo Ice Cream? Yeah, I'm not winning here. No chance. I mean, you're even playing Text to keep the Dragonite healthy. So yeah, I can't win that matchup. Let's just go to a Game 2. Game 2, it's technically Game 3, but you get the point. It's technically Game 2 in terms of actual gameplay. That was really unfortunate. And like I said, they even played Text to make sure that that Dragonite was healthy. And obviously we was waiting on our Arianas and stuff, and, well, we just didn't really get anywhere, which, you know, these things happen. We're not going to lose hope over that. But, yeah, that's kind of what holds this single prize archetype back, is the fact that, you know, yes, you can obviously go big fat knockouts with the Honchkrow, but you obviously need to draw into stuff, and if you're not drawing, it just feels kind of rough. We do get the Proton start, plus the factory, so that's pretty good. And a Fed start is always nice to see. We do like to see that. So I'm just going to go straight in with Proton. Grab ourselves 2 Murkrows and a Porygon. Let's have a look. We've not prized any of our attackers, which is good. We've got the Team Rocket's Articuno in there, should that come up. We've got Archer and Giovanni in hand. We've prized an Ariana again. We've prized a Petrel. We've not prized a Proton, which is good. Otherwise, it looks pretty okay to me. We have prized... Oh no, we haven't prized any, so that's good. That's fine then. So we'll go bench, bench, bench. Team Rocket's factory for 2. Okay, that's not bad. I'm not going to commit a turn attachment because obviously I don't know what they're going to plan this first turn. And I will just pass. There's Arven. Let's see what they grab off of this. They could also prize check like I did. I'm not worried about our prize cards. It's mostly irrelevant. So, again, I'm not worried. It's not something I'm going to lose sleep over. Nest Ball Air Balloon. Okay. They're going to Nest Ball. What are they grabbing? Right on. Okay, this could actually be tough because the Honchkrows are lightning weak. Okay, that's a bit of a concern, but we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. Yeah, it's Jolted Box. Okay, this could be tough. This could most definitely be tough. My main hope is obviously I can draw into enough to obviously guarantee a knockout on the Iron Hands. Because like I said, the Honchkrows are lightning weak, so the Iron Hands attack with the Ampere very much can be very tough. So let's hope. Let's hope. I mean, I could Giovanni go into the... Then again, I'm relying on drawing into a Honchkrow off of Team Rocket's factory plus top deck. Which, that doesn't help us. I can go Ariana, I guess, but then again, I'm not gusting anything. Because I don't really have anything. I can grab Petrel. Because I don't really want to be attacking the Iron Hands without, like, knocking it out in one go. I mean, I could Giovanni and hit him with Torment and target Ampere very much. That could be an option. Because I am whiffing. So I'll go into a Murkrow. Bring up this. Attach. Team Rocket's factory for 2. If we get the Honchkrow, which we don't, that's fine. And yeah, I will just Torment and stop them from playing Ampere very much. That's probably the best thing I can do right now. At least in my eyes, anyway. If they find Latias, they can obviously go into Jolting Charge again. But this at least buys me a turn. If they can't get a Lightning Energy onto this Iron Hands, which they've got 3 in play, they typically play 5. We can at least, you know, get that, you know, attack off and stuff like that. And, well, they clearly don't realise that I've stopped them from playing Ampere very much, which... Well, spoiler alert, my friend. And obviously Prime Catcher, which is kind of rough, but obviously I'm trying to play around their attack here. But, you know, there's only so much I can do to play around it. But if they do have Prime in their deck, they can obviously Prime one of the Murkrows or the Porygon, which feels kind of rough. But then we can respond with Petrel, Poké Pad, into Honchkrow, Miracle Headset, and actually play it for once in a video and knock out this Iron Hands. So we do at least have an option here, which is good. And even then, if we draw into a Honchkrow off the top, we can Petrel for something else, which is also quite good. Nest Ball, Bravery Charm, so they don't have it, which is good. That just makes our job a little bit harder. It means we need 5 because of the 30 ping. Nest Ball. Do they have Latias? Because they could retreat and do the Jolting Charge again. Could definitely be something. Let's see what they do, because they do have a few options here, but hopefully they don't do what I'm thinking they do. They must have realised that they don't have an option to amp you very much this turn. I think their Prime is prized, which is good for us. Because obviously the Torment amp you very much is the most important thing I can do here. And because they attached Metal for turn, not a Lightning, they cannot arm press, which is why I did that. I don't think they can do anything. As Iron leaves, they can do that, but still. They can most definitely do that, but then you're draining all your energy away from your Iron Hands. And Iron Leaves is a pretty easy target for me to KO. So you know what? I'm not mad about that. That's actually pretty good for us. So let's promote the Murkrow. And we'll draw for turn. Okay, that's not be great. So let's go for Petrel. Grab ourselves our Poké Pad. We'll Poké Pad first and then Team Rocket's Factory. We'll grab ourselves a Honchkrow. Like I said, they're playing to their routes at least. I will give them that. But that does feel pretty rough for them. Let's Team Rocket's Factory for 2. Okay, we don't need to play the Miracle Headset, but I kind of just want to. Just so I can have the Giovanni for next turn. So I'll do that, and I'll take the Petrel. And plus, I get to say I've played Miracle Headset for once in the video. So I'll go you, and I think I just get rid of you. And there we go. Take a nice easy couple of prize cards. They did play that pretty well though, like grabbing the... Well, that explains it. I didn't even look at the Transceivers. We'd prized a couple. But it's fine. It's not a big deal. I would have liked to have found a Porygon-Z that turn, but it's not a big deal. We can deal with it. Because my next threat is to kill this Iron Hands, but if I can take out something like Fez or Miraidon, I'm not going to lose sleep over it because, you know, I can deal with it. Oh, they've got the new Pikachu. I love this Pikachu art. It's cute. They've got the Cavantula, so they can respond with that. If they obviously have the Grass Energy in hand, which they do. But hold on, how much damage does this do? Oh, it does 130. Okay, that's fine then. They can set up a Crispin and obviously go for the Iron Hands, which is pretty good for them. They're going to set up the Pikachu, interestingly enough. But yeah, Shocking Web does take us out here, but that's fine. We can deal with that. And Shocking Web for 130 exactly. See, he's playing this matchup pretty well. I will give him that. Like, he's playing it really well. Okay, so Team Rocket's Murkrow to begin with this turn. I'm not gonna lie, Chief, this hand kind of sucks. I mean, I can Archer. So I'll just fail that. I think I Archer for turn. Do I bench this Articuno? I mean, it doesn't hugely matter, but yeah, I'm gonna have to Archer this turn. I don't have many options here. Okay. Team Rocket's Factory. No, we whiffed, which is kind of bad. Ultra Ball away you and you. I can at least grab myself a Porygon-Z. So I'll evolve that. Poké Pads. Oh, I've got no more Murkrow. Oh, that's kind of rough. What do I do here then? I think I just grab a Porygon in that case. I can evolve this because technically it ends a card. And I'll just pass. I think that's correct here. Because obviously that Iron Hands ain't budging for a while, which is good. They do need a lot of investment to get that guy going. There's Vessel. Getting rid of a Metal Energy. Interested in not having Psychic Energy in their list, which proves, like, that tells me they're not playing Lilith's Clefairy. Energy Switch? Are they attacking with a Pika this turn? Picnic Basket? Not relevant, I don't think. No, it's not relevant. Tandem Unit. Picnic Basket isn't relevant, it just makes him think that way, I guess. He could attack with the Pika if he wants to, but that's his choice. And down goes the Honchkrow. So at least we get Ariana for turn and get some fresh cards. And we can obviously attack with his Porygon now, which is pretty good. Okay, well there's the Ignition Energy, so I'm going to do that so I get an extra card off of Ariana. Nice, that's what we like to see. So I'll do that as well. Factory for 2, I would like a Night Stretcher, which we don't get. I can reconstitute, get rid of... I can get rid of an Ignition, I think is safe. And we'll get rid of the Transceiver. Okay, that doesn't help, so I'll just go Arcommand. Take out the Gal. I can obviously come back in with Pika, which is kind of rough. And there's a Night Stretcher, excellent, that's what I needed. That's definitely what I needed. I needed that Night Stretcher, so I'm so glad we got that off the prize cards. Obviously, Topaz Bolt will nuke us here, but obviously we can go Giovanni once we bench something. Like, well, then again, no, we can't. There's Latias at least, so that's something for him. This is actually kind of rough. But then again, can I Giovanni? Well, no, I can't, because I have to switch my active. Because the wording on Giovanni says switch your active Team Rocket's Pokemon, one of your bench Team Rocket's Pokemon. And if you do, well, if you do, switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. So I have to actually hit this Pika. And the problem is, if I do that, you're going to charm it, which that doesn't matter because Resolute Heart would still trigger anyway. You're going to thin Light Ball out. This is kind of rough. This is definitely kind of rough. Okay, this is very concerning. They're even thinning the Light Ball, which is actually kind of good for Pika now, but yeah, this is not looking very good. The fact that we've been whiffing our Honchkrows is what's really holding us back right now. Like, we've obviously got, you know, we've got a couple of cards in the discard pile which are important to us, but we've just been whiffing. We've not found our Night Stretchers, and, well, this isn't looking very good for us. I mean, I have to assume they don't have Crispin in hand, because if they have Crispin, they have Game with the Iron Hands. I could... This is going to be tricky. Well, there's my Night Stretchers, but it's too late for these, I feel. I think it's too late for these guys, but we might as well try. I'll take another Murkrow in case. How much damage you're doing? 160, which isn't too relevant. I mean, I could Archer them, assuming they don't have Crispin in hand, but that would be assuming. I think I play it safe in Archer, because Arcommand is doing enough where I can two-shot this Pika, and I have to two-shot the Pika anyway. So I think just Archer and play it safe. Okay, there's Giovanni, that's fine. Rocket Factory for 2. There's Honch, excellent. I'm going to reconstitute, get rid of them Protons. So I don't need them. That's fine. Arcommand 220. I think I play it safe here. I don't know if they have Crispin in hand, because if they do, they have Game with Iron Hands. Because also they shuffle in energy. That's why I played the Archer. I'm not taking that risk. And if I can, I will kill that Iron Hands this next turn. If I can. This is actually kind of close. I've got to hope they whiff off the Pokégear. Oh no, they've got it. They've got the Crispin. That's game. Well, I don't need to see anymore. He's got the Crispin. That's game, unfortunately. Because he just go Crispin to the Iron Hands and take a 2-price turn with the Ampere very much. Unfortunate. Let's go to game 3. And welcome back to game 3, although technically game 4 if we'll count the intro game. Really unfortunate there. Joltik Box is normally a pretty alright matchup for this deck. Obviously if you can avoid the Iron Hands, but we just did not find what we needed. And when we did, we didn't have attackers that could obviously do it. And well, the wording on Giovanni prevented us from taking out the Iron Hands. So, you know, there's only so much, you know, you can do in this sort of like matchup and everything. And well, we played as much as we could to our outs and stuff, but well, there's only so much we can do. But let's hope we can redeem ourselves. Let's see what we get. And when we start the Porygon, I'll take that, but this hand is very clunky, which I don't like. And it's Zoroark. This should be okay for us. Keyword, should be. We've got to dodge that flame body cannon. They're not even prize checking, they're just going straight in with Zorua. Sure, I guess. Ultra Ball. I mean, I can just put, what, Ariana for 2 or 3, depending on if I can play my top deck. Not the worst thing, I guess. They're going to get the Reshiram immediately, but that's fine. Let's hope we don't whiff, because we should be alright in this matchup. You know, we have a lot of options. There's Petrel. So hold on, 3, 7. If I only have Ariana for 2, but then again, Petrel gets me another card, but... No, Petrel gets me Team Rocket's Factory, but then again... Yeah, I think I just Ariana. Okay, well, playing it safe didn't exactly work out. But we can at least do something, you know? We can get another Pokemon down. We're not getting donked, at least. They didn't get a turn attachment down, neither. Which is beneficial. So we're not in a rush, but that turn definitely could have been better, is all I'll say. Because now that we've drawn some off of Ariana, we can go Petrel for Team Rocket's Factory, get an additional 2. We could have kept the Ariana, but, you know, I don't know. It just didn't feel like the right turn for it. There's Petch. And they've even got the new amazing looking art of Zoroark as well. And they're going to start trading. Let's see what they get. Ooh. Okay. Trading away the lilies. That feels kind of rough, but sure. Trade Poffin. And third trade. Because you might as well, if you're going to do 2, you might as well do 3. Dark Energy. I don't think they have an attack, which is good for us. We can at least, you know, get something going. Trade. Did they maybe have PP up? Nope, they do have Poké Pad. Interesting. Do they have the attack? I don't think they do. No, they don't. Excellent. That's very good for us. So I'll evolve the bench one to a Porygon. I'll Petrel for... because there's no point me grabbing Poké Pad here. I'd rather get some additional draw. So then Team Rocket's Factory for 2. There's Proton. I would have liked that a bit earlier, but it's okay. We're not in a rush. So obviously they attack with 2 prizes. We just need to be very careful of Darmanitan, because we've not been able to establish any Murkrow. There's Janine, so they do have the attack. But that's fine. I'm not particularly worried about that. Because yeah, they can Virtuous Flame take out Porygon, but I'm not particularly worried about that. There's Mochi, but they don't need to Mochi. If they do, that actually makes our job a little easier later down the line. But then again, no, they have to, because they don't seem to be playing Ends Castle. That does actually matter later down the line. Because this makes this Zoroark easy to kill, which is good. There goes Buddy Poffin. That's fine. Like I say, we may be looking like we're in a bad spot, but we can at least play Proton for turn. We can get a ping in with the Porygon. The Porygon-Z, that is, and go from there. So I'm pretty happy to just ping this Zoroark this turn, I'll be brutally honest. He can even copy Shred if he wants. I mean, it's his choice, you know. The only thing he can't do is copy Powerful Rage, because that will do no damage. But he's burned through a lot of his deck already, which is good for us. But he's probably just going to copy Shred, because, you know, I guess it's further down the line. 110, so yeah, that's Shred. That's Shred because of the poison buff. That's fine. Alright, well he probably thinks he's in the driver's seat, but spoiler alert, my friend, you are not. I will tell you that right now. Alright, Proton. Triple Murkrow. Bench all 3 Murkrows. Team Rocket's Factory. Okay. Well, we can actually fit in with the Porygon-Z. But I'd want to play the Archer the next turn, so I think I just attack with a Porygon-2 right now. So how much damage are we doing? 60 plus the damage ping, so 220. We'd only need 4 with the Honchkrow. I will take that. So that's our command for 60. So then they go to 200. But then again, we'd only need 3, because if they don't heal this Zoroark, they go down to 190, we then hit them with a 180 swing with the Honchkrow. Yeah, I think that's actually like better, because then they go down to a Poison Ping and they don't get Fez. That's if I've done my maths right, hold on. Yeah, so they'll take a Ping this turn, we then hit them for 180 with a Honchkrow, so we only need to discard 3 with a Honchkrow, and then they die to Poison, so yeah, we'll do that instead. Because that way I don't give them Fez value. That seems pretty good to me. Unfortunately, we don't get to use this Porygon-Z, which I probably should have just evolved it, just to, you know, thin it, I guess. But we can always get back a Porygon later, it's not a big deal. We did still have a Porygon in deck, so I'm not worried. And well, they're probably just going to go for the Shred attack again, because like I say, it just does straight 110, there's no messing. 210, so that's Virtuous Flame. That's fine. So yeah, we'll just promote the Murkrow. We should, like I said, we only need to throw away 3 supporters this turn. There's Ultra Ball, that's fine. I can actually use that to get rid of that Porygon-Z. So I will do that. Grab that Porygon that was in the deck. Do that. Do that. Attach to the active. Archer. We just need at least 2 supporters because we can potentially draw into a 3rd. That's not good. Can we draw into 1 off the team? Well, 2 off the Team Rocket's factory? As if. We're asking for too much from PTCG Live. It's as simple as that. Okay, well that's fine. I can grab the Porygon-Z out, I guess. Realistically, do I actually attack here? Because I can Proton, fail it, draw 2 off of factory. I definitely want a Night Stretcher back that Porygon first. Do I actually swing here? I don't think I do. Realistically, like, thinking about it, at the end of the day, you know, like, I need to be drawing cards off a factory here, because this hand is dead. So I think it's correct to not attack with the Rocket Feathers here. That's fine. It does mean they can bring up a fresh one, though, which, you know, that's fine. Judge is also fine, I think, as long as we draw off something good. Oh, that ain't happening, is it? Oh, boy. We're just meeting some really tough, like, matchups at the minute. And they're playing Judge, which indicates to me this could possibly be a post-rotation build. And again, did they play a Nest Ball? No. I think this is a post-rotation Zoroark. Is there any explanation? But then again, didn't they grab a Nest Ball like earlier on, or am I being blind? No, I think this is post-rotation. Okay. Yeah, this is not looking good for us. This is not looking good. That was Powerful Rage, by the way, in case anyone wanted to know that. I'll promote the Honchkrow. We need to be taking 2 prize knockouts every single turn now to have a chance. Well, there's Porygon-Z. I can Pokégear see if I can get an Ariana, because I'd rather play that. So we'll attach there. Ariana. Are you serious? We're still whiffing? We can't even knock this out. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I'll thin that out just so I have it. We are still whiffing. Like, that is absolutely mind-blowing. So I'll grab the Porygon-2 out the discard pile. If he takes out this one, I at least have a backup attacker. But no, that is wild. I can Team Rocket's Transceiver, grab another Ariana, and discard the Proton. Because then I can keep Ariana for draw. That's wild. We're whiffing so much in this matchup. This should be easy for us. But we're just whiffing so much, which I've been having this in testing. Like, wow. This deck is just whiffing constantly. And yeah, they're just going to go straight into a fresh Zoroark, which is probably the best thing they can do. Can I win from here? I don't think I can. Because, you know, they have attackers at every opportunity. So yeah, we do not win here. We are too far behind. We've not taken a single prize card. How many supporters do I have in the discard pile? So 2, 4, 6. I'm not even knocking this out. That's crazy. Right, well, Honchkrow it is. Just so I have it, I guess. There's Ariana, so I'll do that. Evolve to you. Ignition. Ariana, come on, give me a knockout, please. Thank you. So, how much am I doing with that Porygon now? So, 60, 100, 120, 140. So, I need to Porygon here. So, I'll do that and do that. There's a Giovanni for next turn. Yeah, we just don't win here. In fact, I should have Transceiver. That would have got me the knockout. But to be honest, I don't win anyway. So there's no point in like going, oh, you should have Transceivered. Yeah, I'm going to scoop. I can't win. Even if I did Transceiver there and go for the knockout, wouldn't have made a difference. We'd have still lost. Because they only need to take 2 more prize cards to win. They would have taken a prize card on that turn. So yeah, that is how it's been sometimes going for this deck in testing, unfortunately. And, yeah, that is pretty much that. There's not much more I really want to play with this deck now, because that has kind of soured my opinion on it. So, what did I think to the deck? I will admit that I think if PTCG Live and obviously your draws were better, this deck is very good. You know, I've had trouble facing Team Rocket's Honchkrow. You know, like, I've had trouble facing it because of how tough it can be. But when you're whiffing, you really whiff. You know, like, at least single prize archetypes like, you know, well, let's think. Even Typhlosion, Alakazam, you know, they have ways to constantly regenerate. Well, I'd say in the case of even Typhlosion, it doesn't. But in the case of Alakazam, it plays the Dunsparce to obviously refill its hand if, obviously, hand disrupted. In the case of, you know, Alakazam as well, it does have inbuilt draw with its, you know, stage 1 and stage 2. But then you have Ethan's Typhlosion, which that is similar to Porygon, but it starts off with a base 60 and gains 60 more. Yeah, you could play things like Braid Bangle in this list, which, I don't know if that's really worth it. Because then that's one less space for, you know, a consistency card and things like that. But I'll be brutally honest with you, I don't think this deck is, you know, like, I don't think it's going to be all it's cracked up to be going forward. I think this deck is bait, in my personal opinion. It is a very strong deck if it can consistently do it, but the problem is you normally whiff quite a bit from what I've seen in videos and stuff. Sure, you know, you have got games where, you know, you'll be drawing the nuts off of Ariana, you'll be drawing into supporters left, right, and centre, nuking Megas and stuff like that, which, fair enough, you can do that. But personally, I think this deck is just not as good as I think it was going to be. And, well, given that Guardy's going to be going in the next format, which fair enough, Mega Guardy's still going to be around. Doubt it's going to be making meta impact myself, but that's just my opinion. You know, that's still Dark Weakness which you hit for, but after Gardevoir EX rotates, Dark Weakness is kind of irrelevant, I'll be brutally honest. Like, yeah, you've got the new, in fact, no, that's Metal Week, the new Mega Clefable that's coming out. That's Metal Week. So again, you don't really have value off of, you know, the dark typing, which is kind of why people wanted to play this deck. And even then, like, the Porygons are really good, but they take too long, especially if you're whiffing constantly every single turn. And that's really what holds this deck back, and I'm afraid I'm just going to say don't bother playing this deck, especially post-rotation, because the other single prize decks in the format are just infinitely better, in my opinion. But anyway, I'm going to leave you all to it for today. I really hope you enjoyed seeing Team Rocket's Honchkrow in action, and I will see you all next time.